All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Thank you all. The smattering of applause that you could muster even on this this bleak day. I'm impressed and I'm gratified and I'm humble, if I can use that word. So,
what?
All right. Albert is here. He is the producer on air of this show.
Albert, thank you.
And Kim is here,
Kim, how
who
are
is
you?
the producer sort of off air of the show, behind the scenes. And we'll be joined by John Rothmann today. We'll be joined, I believe, who else is on the show today, Kim?
I think Belinda Weymouth is coming. She's returning from vacation, but there's a question mark as to whether she's returning here. So I'm crossing my fingers. I'm thinking yes.
Yeah. How many producers do we need on the show before we actually know who's showing up on the show?
I need a couple more, I think. Yeah.
I didn't get her usual articles though, so
yeah, I make her a long shot to show. It'd be nice. I know no one has perhaps thought of this, but if someone could send her an email,
I
maybe
did
we would
send
know
her
it.
an email. I
Oh, you
sent her
did?
one yesterday. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right.
I blame
well,
you.
How are you?
Okay. All right. I then will await with everyone else to know whether or not we can actually get things going with It's a Planet Stupid. Of course, we will discuss things related to the planet and to the environment, regardless of whether Belinda is here. I did receive, I'm wearing this Mark Thompson Show T-shirt.
I like it.
This is part of our merch. But the new hat just arrived from the merch store, which is really nice. I like it.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's something that has just arrived from the merch. And, of course, we mentioned it yesterday. I really like, and this stuff just all came in. I really like this this Project 1984.5 T-shirt.
Does it say the Mark Thompson Show on it?
It says Mark Thompson Show on the back across
okay.
the shoulder. Yeah. But
Nice.
the front is just this. We didn't want to clutter it up with too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we really like those.
Cute.
Got it in blue also. And these are all, Courtney designs and really nice. I think it looks really cool. And then we have, of course, and these are all there at getmarkmerch.com. I think also under the YouTube videos. There is the Make Love Not Fascism. Yeah, that's a
we like that.
yeah. So and then of course the little logo on the back. So that's some of the stuff that's come in to just kind of warm us up on this day. And the other thing I wanted to mention is that I am rocking a new kind of coffee today from Coachella Valley Coffee, a new blend. This is called the Clarity Blend. Can you see it?
It's got a lion on it. Yeah.
I want to try it because it's Lion's Mane coffee. Now, Lion's Mane, what is that, Albert?
Google it.
Can you tell me? Maybe use your Google? Because the tasting notes, baker's chocolate and caramel with nuances of fruit and floral with lion's mane. So lion's mane is mentioned in the description. All of the Coachella Valley coffees have descriptions and descriptors as to what is on the inside.
And it's listed here. They have why drink. They just a whole bunch of information. Why drink lion's mane coffee? It says mental clarity and focus, natural energy, brain and nerve support, and grounded calm.
Wow. Well, that's
I've never seen anything like it.
all right.
Lion's mane is mushroom based.
It's a mushroom, exactly. There you go.
Okay.
But it's wild that there is no taste of mushroom.
Huh.
There's not. I mean, they would note a mushroom taste. No, it's delicious. I mean, I like mushroom, but I also would say that there are those who don't. There's.
When you're drinking the mushrooms, does it have caffeine?
Oh yes, I think it does. I hope it does.
There's never been anything like this.
I really hope it does.
So
But,
you'll be more clear.
Yeah,
You'll have clarity, but will you be awake? Is the question.
that is the question. You're right.
Ch-ch-ch.
I have to say, I am in incredible pain from my back yet another
Yeah.
day. And
Oh.
thankfully, I do this show standing up. And and I do KFI standing up, although that's a studio that's built to sit down in.
Mhm.
So I'm standing up while everybody else is sitting down, but I can't sit down. It's just too painful. So today, I'll just tell you this quickly, and then we'll get into the action. Rothman, as I say, is coming. Today, I was offered, because I'm, barely able to walk from here to the kitchen or whatever. Thank you, Kim, for that fake
I'm
sympathy.
sorry. No, it's not fake. I feel horrible that you're hurting.
Well, I don't know what to say.
I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry.
I feel better that you feel horrible. If that,
I have a
yeah.
guy coming over right now to give you a massage while we do the show.
I got. So
They are kissing my ass.
here is what is happening, and it speaks to the relationship between our culture and other cultures. My cleaning lady, housekeeper, maid, I don't know what the politically correct thing is now.
Housekeeper.
She has been my colleague in keeping the house for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
And when she could see that I was hurting, she said, you have back problems, blah, 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 blah. She goes into her belongings and she pulls out 2 pills. And they're in a little bag. Here,
Are you going to take random pills?
I still have the bag. I still have the
No.
bag.
Oh my God.
So
Don't take that. What is that?
By the way, you don't have the option of not taking it. She's looking and she's watching and she's saying,
God.
and then she says, I'm making sure you take those. So I took them.
What is it?
It's some kind of, she claims it's a plant root of some kind that will have restorative qualities. She said it's very good for pain, but I'm a little worried that it's going to, make me fall asleep during the Rothman conversation that's coming up.
Or you could be loopy. This could be an interesting show.
Yeah.
When did you take it?
I took it just about 20 minutes ago.
Oh my God.
So I asked, can I take it along with ibuprofen, which is really actually pretty effective in at least reducing the pain.
Uh-huh.
And she said, no. Don't take it. I thought, that's bad, because when you can't take it with something else, it means it's pretty powerful.
Oh, God.
It's morphine, Mark, says Jim.
Are you starting to feel it?
I don't feel anything quite yet.
Okay.
But,
well, this will be interesting.
When the diarrhea kicks in, it will be interesting. Yes, you're right. Mindy, thank you.
My weed smoker's at.
Right. That's it. So I did hit all manner of, weedish things last night to try to attack this back pain, which is just really rough, and hasn't touched it. So we'll see. Anyway, I'll tell you what I love, though, this day is this coffee, for real, not just saying it, and I just cannot encourage it enough. Yeah. This is our hat at the L'Arc de Triomphe, everyone, in France. That came to us from... Who did it come from us? Come to us from, Albert?
Let me double check here. It is from Steven.
Yeah, Steven on a European tour. He took his original Mark Thompson show. What is that, a beanie, Albert?
Yeah.
Is that what your kids call him? Yeah. And now it's at the L'Arc de Triomphe. It's been at some of the nicest airline lounges in the world. And yeah. Now it's in France. So bravo. Thank you for that. All right. Again, I'll mention this just because I'm enjoying it so much. It's the charity blend, if you're looking for it, at CoachellaValleyCoffee.com.
That's a big old bag.
Yeah,
wow.
I got a 2-pound bag of the stuff. You go big or go home.
Mm-hmm.
2-pound bag of the Clarity blend. I said charity, but Clarity blend. And that is this Lion's Mane coffee, and I'm loving it. So anyway, I share the tip with you. Do use our discount code if you go, so you get 10% off if you get a 2-pound bag. Just take 10% off of whatever they're charging. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Everything's hand roasted, and this, as I say, is a really cool blend. So right on, everyone. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Well, there's sure an effort to do everything they said they would do. Except release the Epstein files, apparently.
No, not that.
They are committed, this administration, to turning the investigative powers and the legal powers of the United States Justice Department on those that they have issues with. And those include former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey. And both now are being investigated for potential criminal conduct related to the 2016 Trump-Russia collusion probe. Anybody who furthered the theory that the Russians were working to ensure the victory in that presidential election for Donald Trump, anyone who was involved in forwarding that narrative is on the griddle, but chief among them, those two, because those were the two highest officials within the overall search for information and evidence around the Russia involvement story. So
Sometimes it's hard to know when Trump is throwing a tantrum and not serious and just kind of flailing about, and when he means business. I've come to find out that no matter how ridiculous it seems, like how much you don't want to take it seriously, like, oh, he's just freaking out. He means it. He's serious.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, this is a really good point. The Mad King reflexively and impulsively says and does all of these things. And what's happened is he's dry cleaned government of anyone but his most loyal. And in so doing, there's no one there to kind of, back burner anything or just sort of ignore it for the moment and hope that it goes away. They have to respond to everything on 10, that everybody wants to, yes, sir, right away. We're going to give, and we're going to subpoena, we're going to investigate. So that is sort of the state of the state now. And, Brennan, again, as noted here, one of 51 intelligence officials who falsely suggested Hunter Biden's laptop could be Russian disinformation. He is at the center of this probe. And it's also suggested, again, it's hard to know exactly what's being investigated because they're just investigating for the sake of making life, I think, miserable for these people. They want to focus on his alleged false testimony about this Hunter Biden thing and the specific nature of the crime involving Comey, unclear. I mean, again, you're investigating him for what? Allegations of what? Unclear, but we are investigating him. Okay. DOJ sources saying the FBI's view of the role Comey and Brennan played during the investigation of claims that President Trump's 2016 campaign was colluding with Russia as a, quote, conspiracy, according to the outlet, will be the focus of this investigation. The FBI, CIA, and DOJ not commenting on this. The investigation into Brennan comes a week after the CIA released a lessons learned review of the Obama administration's spy agency's assessment that Russia meddled in the 2016 presidential election to help Trump. Brennan may set himself up to face perjury charges, as suggested here, after a new email surfaced in this entire assessment. In that back and forth, Brennan insisted that the discredited Steele dossier be included, despite strong pushback from the CIA's two most senior Russia experts who said, quote, it did not meet even the most basic tradecraft standards. Another CIA official warned him that including the dossier risked the credibility of the entire paper, but Brennan formalized his position in writing, stating that my bottom line is that I believe that the information warrants inclusion in the report. So I think they are going after with a kind of zeal that may pay off. I don't know what's going to happen with Comey. I don't understand really what their issue is with Comey per se. I will say there's an irony. There's an irony because James Comey, in my judgment, threw the election for Donald Trump in 2016. There was, again, a very close election. I mean, the entire election, this is Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, was settled by 40,000 and change votes. And you'll remember that in the 11th hour frenzy of announcements, of investigations, of the Hillary Clinton emails, the 11th hour announcement from James Comey, seen here on the right, obviously talking to Trump, the announcement that the FBI was reopening the investigation into the Hillary Clinton server and email question, just that announcement, I believe, was enough to create a cloud of controversy around the candidate to the point that it was very hard for anyone to focus on anything else. And indeed, that's what it was. It was wall-to-wall Hillary Clinton emails, private server, etc. Now, if you really cared about that, it has to seem laughable to you, right? Now you have major administration decisions associated with the Department of Defense being aired out and explained to people without security clearance on the Signal chat, which is also a public app, which also doesn't have any kind of security clearance sufficient to rise to what it should be at the Pentagon or DOD. So again, you can look back on this and go, gosh, what was the big deal about Hillary Clinton's thing when these guys are basically just texting each other on public apps in forums that are accessible by adversaries and enemies? It seems, and they're all on private server. Everything's on a private server. They're all using their own personal private servers. This was a controversy about, I want to say 2 months ago, where we discovered that a lot of these administration officials are, they don't even surrender their original phone, or they have that and the government phone, and they're texting or emailing government business on their private phone instead of the government phone. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is these guys are a mess. I mean, really, they make Hillary Clinton's use of a private server look like total lockdown. And by the way, it was a mistake to have the private server. I'm not here to relitigate this, but I'm just trying to say that Comey announcement, which again seems almost quaint now, I believe that helped throw the election in a big way.
Totally.
And so the idea somehow, and this is the irony of it, that Donald Trump could open an investigation on Comey. I mean, it's his personal crusade to get these guys. Comey, Brennan, anybody who was involved with the Russiagate conspiracy, the J6 prosecutions, they want to get rid of all of those people, and they have. They fired attorneys associated with the J6 investigation and J6 prosecutions, and in this case, they, in a high-profile way, put up Comey and Brennan as examples. But I just want to say one other important thing, I think. This is also a distraction, isn't it? It's a distraction from the thing that they are all of a sudden not wanting to investigate at all. Their people wanted, look forward to, counted on the release of the Epstein files. Their people, Bongino, Patel, Bondi, their people, Trump himself, although he was sort of a tertiary kind of guy when it came to calling for the release, but they all claimed that there was a large conspiracy associated with the Epstein facts, the suicide, who Epstein was, his coterie of clients, friends, those who were on his aircraft or on the manifests associated with their being passengers on his jets to his island, Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, Donald Trump, of course, spent a lot of time with Jeffrey Epstein. So the point is, we heard Bongino, we heard Patel. They couldn't wait to get into the driver's seat and tell the truth, spill the beans. And, in the case of Bongino, certainly, and maybe in the case of Patel as well, they didn't expect to actually be in the driver's seat. Like, they're going to be the ones who can release this information. I mean, Patel is head of the FBI. Bongino is number 2 at the FBI. You have, if any people are in a position to release these FBI files, it's the guy who's running the FBI.
Very silly.
So you end up with guys who are now running things, and now they don't want to release anything. And it's a really tough walk back. So they're not taking it well. And let's start with the first piece. I think we ran some of this yesterday, but I've got new video from Alex Jones that I want to run for you today. Albert, do you have this is from the cabinet meeting that, as I say, if you were with us yesterday, you probably recall this, but here it is again, quickly, just to set up the Jones piece. Go ahead.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Jeff Epstein, the finish.
So you end up with Bondi saying that she was misunderstood when she said that she had the list on her desk. There is no list. I meant I had the file on my desk for my review. And now, I don't know how this is all going to end, but I'd suggest that MAGA Nation is angry. And they probably want somebody's head. And maybe it'll be Pam Bondi. Here is Alex Jones. Oh, is this the next piece, Albert? What did you want to do next? Jones? Yeah, this is Jones reacting to the fact that now they're saying with the Epstein file, there's nothing to see here. We're not going to release anything. There's just nothing. It's a big nothing. And as it turns out, there's nothing here. Nothing. Go ahead.
So now by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. Because
oh, God.
Because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country. And they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out.
Yeah. He has so much integrity.
Oh, my God.
This is a guy who said that there were crisis actors at Sandy Hook. Imagine that slaughter of those sweet souls, those kids. I was so moved by that, as I am by so much of what's going on when it comes to firearms and it comes to these mass slaughters. But certainly everybody was moved by the Sandy Hook situation. I don't want to get into too many specifics, but the point is that in Alex Jones, I felt you had the ultimate breach of morality when you suggested that the pain, you suggested that the loss was fake, that somehow this entire thing where these families shattered for life because of this gun violence unleashed on those school kids, how you could suggest that that was fake.
Yeah.
So that's who Alex Jones is.
Crazy
but
guy.
he has a death grip on BS. And you can see he is pure dinner theater performance every time. I'm going to be I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna be sick. I'm gonna go into my office and I'm gonna throw up. And he marshals that kind of I'm on the verge of throwing up thing. I mean, he's a brilliant actor that way. He's an absolute actor. It's absolutely an act. It's all theater, but there's so much at stake. And these guys created an aura around the release of the Epstein files. And that which we were going to learn was going to be so revelatory. And now your people, the very people who were calling for the release of the Epstein files, are now in charge. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are in charge. And now you guys say there's nothing to see. Now, there really may be nothing to see. Hard for me to believe that there's nothing to see. I mean, the greatest high-profile luminaries in the world were around Jeffrey Epstein. Maybe you could see that. I don't know. What she says the tapes contain is thousands of hours of Jeffrey Epstein and these underage girls. Hard to square that. Like, why would Jeffrey Epstein have thousands of hours of that? I mean, I would think with every room wired, as was noted and reported in his New York place and these other places, there's video coverage of all of these different rooms, which are supposedly private. Anyway, the point is, I would think that there might be additional information there, and I'm sure there is. I don't know how damning it is from the standpoint of any kind of revelation associated with who Jeffrey Epstein was and what his connections were. That, to me, is the interesting thing. The heinous, awful thing is obviously that there are all these dudes hooking up with these underage girls who have been trafficked and coerced into this situation. So you could really have this spill over onto many, many high-profile people. And the last thing I'll say is this. Just because somebody was in the company of Jeffrey Epstein doesn't mean that they are guilty of the Epstein acts. I mention that because I actually know someone who attended a dinner at Jeffrey Epstein's house. And he said, I didn't see any evidence of any of the stuff that we're talking about. I mean, none. No one mentioned massage or any of these things. And so for that reason, I hesitate to damn everybody with too broad a stroke. On the other hand, I do think that these repeat visitors, I can't help but speculate that they had some participation in what was the recreational aspect of being around Jeffrey Epstein. Calvin Wong, so all the victims said Epstein was the only one besides Prince Andrew? I don't think so. Yeah, shadow producer Calvin Wong is right. I mean, it's clear that there was more than Prince Andrew at stake here. Prince Andrew, who, has been shamed into oblivion, right? But Bondi and Patel editing out 1 minute from hundreds of hours of tape, says de Hageville, on the suicide of Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, and the guards both fell asleep. The story just breaks down.
Right.
I mean, I've been really commenting and focusing on who Jeffrey Epstein was, why he had a connection. When I say commenting on him, just sort of in the generic way. I mean, there's certainly arguments that Ghislaine Maxwell, her father died. He was a Mossad operative. It's argued. Couldn't Epstein have fallen into that category, or Ghislaine, or was there some tie to? I mean, again, these are theories, and these are all conspiratorial theories provided based on the fragments of information we have. But I think this is interesting. I just glanced at, if there were big name Democrats on the list, Patel and Bongino would race over to Trump and they would all run to Fox to brag about it. That's right. I think that that's true. If it could be politically damaging to anyone on the Democratic side, they would run to Fox, says CC Ryder, I think appropriately. However, let me say this. I think there were Democrats, a lot of Democrats, who were involved in the game. We know Bill Clinton was on his flights and went as a visitor to his island. But I also think there were Republicans, high-profile Republicans like Donald Trump, who were regulars also in his orbit. I suspect it is a mix of Republicans and Democrats, friends and enemies. And in that way, they just have to park it. And Christopher Rubino may have the true thought on this that we walk away with from a bottom line standpoint. He says, unfortunately, this won't affect Trump at all. That
What
is
do they
true.
call him? Teflon Don for a reason, right?
Yeah, he really is amazing that way.
Mhm.
So that's a little bit on the Epstein investigation, which appears to be swept under the rug. And I also think that it's never a good thing when Alex Jones is moved to vomit, which apparently he was moved to throw up. Albert, do you still have that? I need that as a drop. I'm going to need the I want to throw up.
I'm going to throw up.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm going to throw up.
I got rid of it, but I can clip that for you.
Okay, thank you. I do need that. All right, thank you.
The Mark Thompson Show.
The double clutch on the organ. Corrupt, not amazing at all, says Maud. Yeah, corrupt has got to corrupt. Corrupt's gonna do what it does, which is corrupt. All right, that's a little bit on the Comey and Brennan investigations associated with Russiagate and the investigation that's not happening that's associated with Epstein. Nothing to see here. In Texas, it's a horror yet another day. I'll talk to John Rothmann about that. I just wanted to quickly do some housekeeping. This from Pamela Kirby. Pamela Kirby, a big shout out to you with a $10 super chat. She says, I just ordered the Clarity Blend and iced coffee bags from Coachella Valley Coffee. We should arm wrestle to find out who loves Coachella more. I do love it. I do love it. I'm so glad you're into it, though. That really makes me happy. And I do want to... Not that I need another excuse to have some, but it's so delicious. Did Michael Shore get his mug yet? Asks Wes with a $20 super chat. No, thanks for that. Michael Shore.
Shout out.
Michael Shore revels in the bit where he doesn't get the mug. Does no one understand that? He revels in it. He loves it.
So you're saying if you sent him one, he would still revel in it?
Oh yeah, he would say I didn't get it. I don't know. I mean, he loves not having the mug. It gives him. He loves that as a runner. You know. Kelly, big shout out. Thank you, my friend.
Big shout out.
OG. All right. If I get the blessing of the team, I'm going to move on. Can I?
Can I just bring up one thing before you move on to John Rothmann?
Yes, of course, please.
Did you see the story where Trump redid the cabinet room?
You pointed this out. Tell everybody about this. Is wild.
This is a makeover. He wanted to spruce up the cabinet room, had to be looking really good, right?
Sure.
And he says he spent time personally selecting the new art for his cabinet room and the meeting room because he said before they had some not very good portraits up. So he wanted the best portraits.
Sure.
And he went through the room piece by piece and he described why he chose each president and past president to be on the wall. And he also apparently saw a clock in the offices of Marco Rubio and he liked it. And he liked it so much that he took it. He went into the State Department. This is what he said. So as president, you have the power. If I go to the State Department or Department of Commerce or Treasury, if I see anything that I like in your office, I'm allowed to take it. Can you believe this? And he said, so I'm in Marco's office and I see this gorgeous clock, a grandfather clock, he said as he had a wide grin. And I had read to him the rule and regulation. And I said, Marco, I love this clock. Look at it. It's beautiful. And apparently Rubio said, what clock? And the clock in the other room. It's incredible. Nobody gets to see it there. And so he took it. He said, first I tried to talk him into giving it to me. And then he said, I'd love to take that clock out and put it in the cabinet room. And he said, are you serious? And Trump said, yeah, I have the right to do it too. And
Yeah,
so
because
took it.
he would need. He likes to stay within
He took
norms and the legal underpinnings of the government.
This
So
reminds me of a situation at KGO Radio. Can I just briefly tell you that
please,
we had this beautiful antique radio in the green room at KGO, and it was kind of we all were proud of it. We all thought it was so cool. It was this old time radio, it was big, and it was a conversation piece, and it was just kind of you can tap it as you walk by. It is a cool piece of gear, and so one day we got a new uh, general manager in the station, and he liked it so much that he took it and put it in his own office.
wow,
And people were walking by, and we were like, "Where's the radio? Like, what happened to the radio?" Oh, so and so took it, and he put it in his office because he liked it so much. So instead of leaving it in a place where everyone could enjoy it, where everyone loved it, he took it for himself. And
wow.
I mean, if you want to lose respect on day one, like, oh, this is who we're dealing with. Same
Yeah.
thing with Trump. He walks into the office, likes your clock, it's his now.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I mean,
I just wanted
that
to throw that in there because
I think you're right. It's a
What
good.
the hell is
it's-
going on in the United States of America?
And Ron couldn't mention something to him. Ron was the big, he was the big deal at KGO Radio where we came from. Ron didn't notice it? Didn't care?
we all noticed it, but what are you going to
Yeah.
say? The guy's the general manager of the
Yeah.
place.
We have processes and protocols and standards.
I forgot about that. Yeah. So
Give
the
us our
process-
radio back? No.
You don't want to mention who the general manager was?
I don't know. There were so many.
You don't remember who it was?
I don't know. I forget the name.
Very convenient. Under testimony, she forgets the name.
Whoever it was under Citadel. From Disney to Citadel.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever the guy's
We
name
could
was.
try ignoring it.
I guess
That's how
Kim's gonna ignore
insignificant
it.
he was. He was in power for like less than a year.
All right.
He was in, he was out.
Well,
you
in
know.
that case, you should be able to remember his name. I mean, mention his name without worrying. But
I should. If I remembered it, I would.
Yeah.
Maybe John Rothmann will remember it. I don't know.
All right. Let's get to
The Mark Thompson Show.
He's a presidential historian, lecturer. He is a learned guy. And our former colleague at KGO Radio. How about it for John Rothmann?
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be with you.
It is always, I'll use your word, a delight as well to talk to you. And I
Well,
will
high
say-
honor and great personal privilege, Mark.
I will say that we often get into it, and people write to me. When you call for video, I bite your head off, and I say, how can you show up here and just start screaming that you want a video of one sort or another? How can you do it? And I go over the top with my screaming and my anger and my ire.
Why are you yelling?
Because I'm trying to make a point, and also I think it's funny. But what I do is get email from those who don't get the humor, and they feel as though I'm being rude to you by yelling at you.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah, but I also get emails from people saying, how could you allow Rothman to be rude to you when he comes on your show and calls for it? So I don't know where to go with this, is my point. Like, I love yelling at you, and yet I feel like some people feel as though it's wrong to yell at you. So I'm going to try not to yell at you today. I'm going to try something new, and I'm going to let you get away with your crap that you normally pull, but I'm not going to snap your head off. I may have to get into therapy to handle this, but
We're not starting on a good foot. Nope.
no. All right. So let's move on, as is suggested here, but I did want to address it because it was, in a sense, informing a lot of the atmosphere of our conversation.
Let me explain, Mark, to everyone that I have nothing but the highest regard for Mark Thompson. There is nothing that he could do or say that would distress me in any way. So, Mark, carry on.
Hey, which one of you is Mark Thompson?
Now, John, I want to start not in Washington, but I want to start in Texas. What happened in Texas is incredibly sad. It points up potentially some of the issues that this new administration may have to confront, because there are going to be more and more climate-related, weather-related tragedies, incidents that require some kind of overall strategy. And what's happened is, at the governmental level anyway, we've seen them unravel a lot of the improvements that have come to the Weather Service, NOAA, and just even an approach to warning systems, getting the forecasts out to many of these communities. This was both a local thing and a federal thing. It wasn't simply the blame to be laid in Washington. I wonder if you can comment on sort of the way all of these things connect around this Texas incident.
First of all, we're still learning daily about what happened, hourly, what happened in Texas. But the first thing you have to know is that global warming is a reality, and the Trump administration still denies it. Second thing you have to know is that the Trump administration has gutted federal agencies, including NOAA and including FEMA. And the Supreme Court, with only one dissent, gave a green light to the layoffs that are taking place in the federal government. They did that just yesterday. I don't know if anybody could have been saved, but I can tell you that what the Trump administration is doing to the federal government and to the American people is just horrific, something I cannot comprehend in terms of the silence of the Republicans. And that's really all one can say, except what a tragedy. What a tragedy.
But I like that in discussing this, and it has to be discussed, there is an opening to have the larger discussion, which you've touched on, and that is around federal staffing and around those areas of staffing and governmental concern that need to be the focus moving forward. And again, this relates to climate issues, to weather events, to disasters. And it's not just forecasts, and it's not just cutbacks that affect the ability to take those forecasts and get them out to the public, but it's also FEMA and cleanup after many of these disasters hit.
And NOAA. NOAA, look, we're going into hurricane season, and NOAA is understaffed. We're going into these tragedies, and FEMA is having its budget cut. And there's a deafening silence about it. And may I say, I listened to the science guy on CNN this morning, just happened to flip that on. And his comment was, science is mentioned in the Constitution. But the Trump administration doesn't seem to understand the importance of science. Look, take a look at what's happening with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the Department of Health and Human Services. It is catastrophic in every way. And in my mind, and I have to be blunt with you, Mark, I find it all completely outrageous, incomprehensible. The deafening silence is just astounding. And there is, and I'm going to use a word, I think it's a big word, a ding word. There is a sense of impotence that people feel. And when that, thank you. And when that happens, I think we lose something in our democratic process. So, I mean, my answer to you is, could what happened in Texas have been avoided? Maybe not. But I can tell you one thing, we are not prepared for future tragedies that are most certainly going to occur. And the blame must be leveled not only at Donald Trump and his administration, must also be leveled on the Republicans in Congress who sat passively back and allowed this to happen.
This is a really great point, that there's complicity on the Republican side.
And the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize. Everybody understands that I have no self-control in these matters.
Yeah.
The headline of this morning's Chronicle, which I'm going to pull up here and I'll show you. High Court allows Trump mass firings. What in the world is the Supreme Court doing? And for someone like me, who was raised to believe that in the end the Supreme Court would do the right thing, I am just so appalled. The 6-3 majority is as complicit in all of this as any branch of government.
The mass layoffs leave a huge void in this administration and in this government. We've seen how in that massive legislation that just passed, there's money being taken from Medicaid, there's money being taken from the EPA.
Not just money being taken, Medicaid is being People are being deprived of medical care. As many as 80 million Americans. And you want to know something? I learned something this morning, Mark. The impact will not be felt until after the midterm elections.
Oh, yeah, they crafted, this is a political document. This is not just legislation. This is a massive document, and it's political. And as a political document, it does just what John Rothmann is talking about. It essentially triggers all of these things to go into effect, Medicare stuff, the Medicaid stuff, I should say, after the midterm. So the effects really won't be felt until after this midterm that everybody keeps looking forward to.
Can we be clear? And I'm glad you clarified it, but I want to just make it clear to everyone. We are talking about Medicaid, not Medicare, not anything more or less than Medicaid, which was designed to help the people who need the help the most. Mark, you did not mention yet with me, but I want to mention the fact that the Secretary of Defense cut off aid to Ukraine and the White House didn't know about it. Nobody told Donald Trump. It was all Pete Hegseth. If I were president of the United States, Pete Hegseth would be out. He never would have been appointed, but he'd be out in a minute. Can you imagine what danger it represents for the American people when you have a situation like we have in Ukraine and where you have Vladimir Putin, who is still killing his political enemies? Another cabinet officer was found dead, jumped out of a window. God knows, I understand. It's a disaster. So
one was, I think one was
yesterday.
Found yesterday with a bullet in his head. He was in the. But you're right. It's either fenestration or bullet in the head. Meanwhile, at the Pentagon, as you say, Pete Hegseth seems to have unilaterally stopped the weapons shipment to Ukraine last week, and no one knew about it. And he doesn't have it. He doesn't. And this speaks to the gutting of government and just the way that they have really downsized everything so that it's a handful of loyalists. Hegseth doesn't have a chief of staff or any trusted advisors, so no one's there urging him to coordinate with other government partners. And now Trump has ordered him to restart some of these shipments, but he is really someone in Hegseth who is doing his own thing, and he has created an atmosphere maybe around him at the Pentagon, which is just an echo chamber. So he does really those things that he wants to do without regard for any kind of advisors. There are none to keep him, keep him in check. Do
people understand? I mean, I know that on the Mark Thompson program, because of the very clear and precise message you deliver, people understand. But nationally, I'm afraid people don't get it. So the question you have to ask is, where's the accountability? Because we have no way to make the Supreme Court wake up. We have no way to get the Republicans in Congress to wake up. The only thing that will succeed will be a massive Democratic vote in the midterm elections. And I'm waiting anxiously for that because these body blows are hitting us every single day. And let me also just comment quickly. We talked about NOAA very briefly in the context of what happened in Texas. These agencies of our government are being gutted systematically. And there seems to be no one who understands the accountability, at least no one in power. So I'm deeply distressed. I am terribly concerned. You have mentioned the Epstein case, by the way. I just want to say, I know what Pam Bondi said. You know what Pam Bondi said. And there is no accountability.
Yeah, she's saying that she had the file on her desk, and she said more than that, but that was kind of a reducto on what she said. Hey, I want to go to what I consider the ongoing horror treating those who have been in this country for decades, oftentimes who've come here without documentation or in an effort to become asylees in this country, those who have legally sought asylum status, and they have been pinched off the street, taken off of high school graduation lines. They've been,
MacArthur Park. Look what happened in MacArthur Park. It's terrible.
MacArthur Park is a little different, although obviously this is the point. We make this point repeatedly on the show. It's a multifaceted issue, and the facet that John's talking about was this incredible show of force. It's a little, it's part of the same thing. I do want to just run it out. Since I've begun this thought and John introduced it, what John is talking about is officers on a horseback, federal presence in MacArthur Park, which is a part of Los Angeles that is frequented by many Latinos. There are, I'm sure, undocumented migrants there, maybe a lot of them. There's also drug use in the park, and that's where you go to buy a fake ID and stuff like that. And on a normal day, it's not like packed with people at all, but it was packed with federales this day, right? It was ICE agents. There was a Black Hawk helicopter. There were 17 Humvees. They swept the park. No, they didn't arrest anybody. They didn't do anything. It was just a show of force. It was an intimidation. It was intimidation theater is what it was. And so, John, that's one facet. I'm also talking about, so that was designed to intimidate and have a chilling effect, and I'm sure it works. But I'm also talking about the wanton grabbing of people off the streets from their places of business. These are people who are, again, oftentimes finishing their 30th year in this country, right? And with kids, and they have veterans in their family, et cetera. I wonder if you could just speak to where we are on this. And when you finish, I'll play you something from the Department of Agriculture head who claims that we can pretty much fill the migrant void with people who are on Medicaid, which is the most ridiculous thing.
It's astounding.
Go ahead. Give me a thought on this, and then I'll play you.
My only comment, and I don't want people to be shocked. I am very careful in my use of language. When Abraham Ribicoff stood before the Democratic National Convention in 1968 and talked about Gestapo tactics in the streets of Chicago, little did I imagine that a half a century and more later, we would be talking about Gestapo tactics in the streets of the United States. Let me explain. I am not someone who equates anyone with Hitler or Hitler tactics, but I do understand police state tactics. I guess I could have said KGB instead of Gestapo. But the fact that our federal agencies are being mobilized and used to intimidate people without charges, without ability to deal with it, is to me a complete failure of the American system. What is most disturbing to me, again, is the silence of people who should know better.
Well, here is, in relation to what's being said from the GOP, here's the Secretary of Agriculture commenting on what will happen, because agriculture is going to be dramatically affected and is being dramatically affected by the fact that these migrant workers don't want to show up to work because they'll be deported. They'll be arrested. Go ahead. This is Brooke Rollins.
But I can't underscore enough. There will be no amnesty. The mass deportations continue, but in a strategic way, and we move the workforce towards automation and 100% American participation, which again, with 34 million people, able-bodied adults on Medicaid, we should be able to do that fairly quickly. Thank you.
Astounding.
Yeah, I mean, that's really obscene.
And can you imagine the Secretary of Agriculture of the United States making such an ignorant, horrific statement?
The other thing that she mentions here, and I think this is one of these concepts that runs through all of this, is somehow everybody who is getting government assistance is able-bodied and just lying around getting checks. That's just not the case. There are those, and their stories, some of them incredibly moving, of those who require a lift from the federal government in the form of Medicaid checks to help them with their paraplegic son. I saw in one case, there are all sorts of chronic illnesses that have prevented all of these people, and there are many, many, many cases, from being able to work. And work, this is just part of a greater problem, shouldn't be the gateway to healthcare. You should be able to get healthcare without having a job. I understand it would be great to have everybody having a job and they would have the resources and the access to medical care. This country is set up that way. I don't think it's smartly set up that way, but that's the way it is set up, John. And it's interesting to me that somehow she implies it in her comments, Brooke Rollins says, so many 34 million able-bodied Medicaid recipients. Come on. I mean, that presumes something that's not in evidence.
I don't think she's ever worked in the fields. When I went to Whittier College, I spent a day in Delano picking grapes. I wanted to experience what it was like to do manual labor. It is absurd to think that people on Medicaid, many of whom need real help, should be out in the fields picking our fruits and vegetables. Do you understand how tragic this is? So this is a real question, Mark, and I'm very glad we are able to air this out. And you can go down the list. We have not talked in great depth about my disappointment in the Supreme Court. Let me remind you that Mitch McConnell voted against the removal of President Trump from office in the second impeachment trial on the grounds that these issues would be dealt with in the courts. In other words, Mitch McConnell had faith in the court system. Well, my faith, at least in the Supreme Court, has been shaken more severely than ever, because it would seem that the ideological majority is more important to them than is the fairness and the justice of what the Supreme Court is supposed to do. And do you understand why there is frustration? Do you understand why people like me, and you and I have argued about this, and I don't want to say you're right, because if I say you're right, I'm conceding the essence of American democracy. You have maintained that the system has failed, and I've tried to defend the system. But when I read the headline of this morning's paper and then took a look at the Supreme Court case, allowing the President of the United States to exert executive powers without any restraint, I thought to myself, what a horrible condition we are in. And I know that people don't feel it in a way, because our lives continue to go. We continue to go to work. We continue to go to school. But we continue to be able to pay our bills more or less. But do you understand the erosion of the American spirit on the 249th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence? That to me is just, it's deeply, deeply saddening and distressing. So anyway, I wanted to make the point.
I would just round that off by saying, when I talk about the fact that the system doesn't work, and you're right, we go around and around about this and the faith in the American institutions and the American system. The reason I talk about the fact that the system doesn't work and the institutions don't work is because they are populated by people. And you're right, in a sense, when you talk about the institutions and systems, if you grant that most who inhabit those systems and institutions are associated with doing the greater good. But that's not who is inhabiting those institutions and making those systems work right now. I think there is a problem in that way. And so I have such little faith in humanity, if you will. And I don't mean to say it with a grin, because it's a sad thing. It's weird too. I do want to just say this, you and I and everyone watching and listening know that most people really will extend a hand to you if you're in trouble. Most people, I think, instinctively, reflexively have a desire to help out someone that they don't know who is in distress. So it's odd to me that we have built a system that also is designed to lift people up, to catch people who might need that lift, who might need to be caught. But we are now dismantling that system, and we're dismantling it on the complete fallacy that it is being abused by everyone on it.
And can we point out that it was Elon Musk who was assigned the task by the President of the United States, with full confidence in Elon Musk, to conduct affairs like Doge. And what we now know is that the president is at war with Elon Musk, that Elon Musk has actually called for the president's impeachment. It shows something terribly faulty about the thinking of Donald Trump. Now, I got a lot of criticism because of something I said on your show, and I want to clarify it. Donald Trump deserves an A in the way he is administering the powers of his office. That does not mean that I approve in any way, shape, or form the content of what he's doing. But this exercise in presidential power, the unitary presidency, as it is called, is one of the most disturbing developments in the history of our republic. And I say that as a historian, as someone who really believes he understands the power of the American presidency. But this craving of power and his abuse of power. With my old boss, Richard Nixon, there was an accountability when he tried to do things. With Donald Trump so far, there has not been that accountability. And that's what we must have. I offered recently to teach a course in 5 years at the Fromm Institute here in San Francisco on the abuses of power in the Trump administration, which I believe will be manifest historically. But my son asked me a question, Mark. He said, what if Trump's proposals all pan out to be positive? What if his popularity soars? And I said, we're in big trouble, but I really believe something. And I know you don't necessarily agree with me on this, but I believe that in the end, the American people will wake up. Do you remember when we talked about our long national nightmare being over the words Gerald Ford used when he succeeded Richard Nixon? We are in the midst of a long national nightmare. There was another book published during the Reagan years called Sleepwalking Through History. But we have to wake up and understand the implications of these things. And for those of you listening to the sound of my voice who are Trump supporters, please note I am not criticizing the president on a personal basis. I believe his politics reveal all that we need to know about the danger of the Trump presidency.
Rich says a privatization is a core tenet of Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation roadmap that Trump persistently denied knowing about. This is a really good point, and I've made it repeatedly on this show. You understand, they want to privatize everything, the GOP. And when I say GOP, guys, I understand many of you may be GOP. I'm talking about the jihadists. I'm talking about the Project 2025, but also half a click off from Project 2025, the Eric Princes of the world, the Blackwater head, who essentially had a private army dispatched in Iraq. Now they'll have a private militias associated with the ICE work, associated with the detention camps, which are concentration camps. They are privatizing all of this. When I say all of this, I understand not literally all of it, but a great portion of it. But the goal is to privatize all these things. I mean, the U.S. Postal Service, they'd like to privatize. They'd like to privatize a lot of the ways in which the Social Security Administration works. These government agencies that they are dismantling and making creating problems in, they will then point to and say, you see, government is not working, let's privatize it. I include the Weather Service at that. Weather,
right.
NOAA, it's settled. They have private industry that wants to charge the government for this or charge you, the consumer, for this. And
Mark,
this is an effort to privatize. So thank you, Rich, for pointing it out. I
with a
mention it from time to time, and it's really
with a deep
central to
sense
what
of
they want.
Deep sense of sadness, I agree with you. Can you imagine that we are sitting back and watching Alcatraz alligator in Florida?
Yeah.
And there's not a peep. Can you imagine that Donald Trump has been talking about bringing sharks into San Francisco Bay as he revitalizes Alcatraz? I mean, can you imagine these kinds of things being said by a president of the United States?
Well, he has a great, he has a great following, even as we do the hand-wringing here. These are things that he promised, John. You know, he ran on immigration reform. I think there was a conflation of the border policy, which was flawed. You know, there was a southern border policy that was leaky, to say the least. There were people coming across that really, I thought, reflected a problem at the southern border. A lot of Americans agreed. But the conflation is we're going to deport all of these people. He did say it. He was going to deport, what, 30 million? Was that it? Or 10 million? I've forgotten that because the number was absurd. I mean, there's no way there was no infrastructure to do that. But what have they done, John? In the new budget, the ICE and Department of Homeland Security budgets are off the rails. I mean, they are so well funded. They will build these detention camps, and they'll have a lot of money to do it. They will increase the number of ICE agents, maybe by 10 or 20-fold. They'll have the money to do it.
What kind of America will it be if your vision comes true?
It's not my vision. It's stipulated in the budget. Look at it. It's the old line, John. You'll appreciate the old line. What's the old line? Don't tell me your priorities. Show me your budget, and I'll tell you your priorities. You can look at the Trump budget. You can look at the GOP big, beautiful bill, and you can see that part of that big and beautiful is to off the rails fund the Department of Homeland Security.
And that's why the Democrats in the upcoming election have to run on that issue. If you tell the American people the truth, I believe they will understand and Republicans will be repudiated. I hope that's the case. And by the way, you were right earlier. It is not Republicans. This is a Trump takeover of the Republican Party, and that's what has to be repudiated.
It's interesting. Dylan Bob says, have you noticed Trump's current catchphrase, promises made, promises kept? That is something that they're saying more and more. Promises made, promises kept. And they hang a lot on that. I want to mention one thing before we lose you, John, and that is there are so few successes to celebrate with the Trump administration. I mean, I understand you can talk about the big, beautiful bill, but it's not popular with the public, et cetera. It was pushed through at the, midnight hour type thing. A government website touting the, quote, Trump effect claims more than $2.6 trillion in U.S. investments. But as it turns out, 1.3 trillion of that 2.6 trillion originated under Biden, or it was routine spending.
You remember my old line, Mark, don't confuse people with the facts.
Yeah, exactly. And when asked why the administration is taking credit for projects that happened under Biden, White House officials say, quote, the final investment decisions were announced under Trump's watch and prove that his economic policies are triggering U.S. investment.
Astounding.
And the last thing I'll say is just there was a $50 billion pledge from one company on investments into this country. That's because that's what he keeps talking about. Trillions in investments, trillions in $50 billion worth of investments threatened by Trump policies now. So that $50 billion may not even happen. So again, taking credit for stuff that half of which happened under the Biden administration, these investments, and the rest of it may be threatened by Trump policies. I think the economy is about to be lurched into a pretty dark place. And a lot of these things we talked about are the reasons.
Well, all I can say is I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to appear with you. I hope with all my heart that the news we convey in the days and weeks and months and years ahead will be more positive.
John, I encourage people to check out your podcast, Around the Political World with John Rothmann. That's a chance to listen to John every day, comment on world events, uninterrupted by me. That's right.
Can I applaud that too?
So are you away? You're away the next few weeks?
I know I am away beginning the 1st of August. So you are stuck with me until the 1st of August.
I love it.
I'll be back about August 21st. And may I also commend to people the Voice of San Francisco. Thank you for putting that up. We do 10 minutes on local San Francisco politics and affairs, and we invite people to listen to that as well. But it is my unique honor to appear with Mark Thompson on this program. And if you are not supporting the Mark Thompson program, please do.
Thank you, John, for that. Appreciate that. Love you, and see you soon next week then. All right. John Rothmann, everybody.
Feel it in your soul. The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah. Oh, somebody's on to the Rothmann thing. This is Trevor Starr in Hollywood. And if I may just add, John Rothmann, he has a few of those, right, Kim? And if I may just add, what's happening, and then fill in the blank. What's happening is an abomination, if I can use that word. He has
my favorite John Rothmanism is the insert name here, rolling in their grave, but they're still.
If Abraham Lincoln were alive today, he'd be rolling in his grave. Well, John, if you were alive today, he wouldn't be in his grave. I mean, that's that we've called him out on that so many times. He doesn't go for it anymore. Yeah, but we do. So we picked up a drop today. What was the drop we picked up, Albert?
I'm still working the show, but I had the clip saved. It will be Alex Jones.
Alex Jones, right? We've got an Alex Jones clip that now has.
I'm gonna throw up. Yeah.
And somewhere is yeah. Should that be a drop? You mean the Rothman thing? We should grab a Rothman drop. There will be a Rothman drop before the end times finally reach here. Thanks everybody for contributing to the show. That is, contributing just to your thoughts and comments. It always helps. We read all comments, and I appreciate it very, very much. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the show. It's free, and it'll show up, and you can click on it, and you can, if you hit the notification bell, know when we have a video, and click on it. If it's not your thing, move on. You don't have to, but we appreciate everybody who supports us. So, yeah, everybody who chits their way in and smashes the
smashed it with your iron rod.
The like button, that helps us too in the world of YouTube. Cool T-shirt. Mark says, Tom, who is the keeper of the ding for ding words, thank you. It's available at what is it? Getmarkmerch.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the real cool shirts are the ones that just came in. And
what do you have?
We set the prices at the lowest they'll allow us. So this isn't a money-making thing, but it's kind of fun. This is the new shirt. Can you see Project 1984 and a half? I really like that. So I will have real models to model this in the days ahead. But for now, it's just me. But
are we hiring people? What's happening?
Yeah, I'm going to try to get
supermodels.
Yeah, my supermodel friends.
Yeah.
You can see Project 1984 and a half. I don't think you can get it, Albert, if you blow it up. I don't know if it goes over there. Anyway, you can see all of the new T-shirt designs, many of them from Courtney. Really appreciate her help. And
what's that black one say with the globe on it?
Yeah, that's a popular one too. Born to peacefully resist.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Does it say the Mark Thompson Show on the back?
On the back, it should say it. Right?
Awesome.
They show you what's on the back there. Yeah, on the back.
That's a great T-shirt to wear to the next march.
I know. That's what we thought of it in terms of the peaceful protests that sort of informed this period. So, yeah, and there's I like that. I like that one, Albert. That one, with the gold on the
sunshine.
Yeah. What does it say?
Born
to peacefully resist. But I like the sunshine. I don't know. These kind of have a throwback quality that I really like. They just remind me of, I don't know, Vietnam War era or Iraq War era, kind of, anyway, knock around on it. And again, I know there's a cardigan. Oh my gosh, I got to have a cardigan.
It's like a Mr. Rogers sweater with the Mark Thompson logo.
That's a really cool thing. The knitted cardigan. Wow. Well, there's a lot here.
Baby girl, don't even play.
Yeah, get on it, everybody. So that's at getmarkmerch.com. All this stuff. Look at these. The sleeveless vest.
Nice.
I like it. The bomber jacket.
You wear the vest.
Bomber jacket is mega cool.
Yeah, the bomber jacket's awesome.
These are really, really cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
And there are the hats, the classic. And the bucket hat. They're the socks. I have ordered socks. And then I mentioned that the Mark Thompson hat just came in. I like the white hats.
I like the wine cooler. That's cool.
Yeah, you do. Right. I thought you might like that.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
You ought to just get drunk and buy a lot of merch. That's what I would suggest. Kim?
Yeah.
Are you loaded for news?
Always.
All right. We'll do some news. And when we come back, and I'm just trying to follow the bouncing ball, I'll detail a few of these mass firings and what may happen in terms of policy. Also, I want to just talk about the economy for a moment, because I feel as though there's a lot happening when it comes to the economy, and it will be affected by a lot of these Trump policies that are just beginning to affect the economy in some ways, but will, I suspect, have an even more intense effect negatively in the months ahead. So I want to get into that as well. Again, smash the like button. Do it
with your iron rod.
Don't do it for me. Do it for Kim. Kim's News, and we continue. Mark Thompson.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. This report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. In Texas, the search for more than 170 people still missing after the catastrophic flooding is in its sixth day. The death toll keeps climbing here. 119 people are dead, mostly in the hard-hit Kerr County, where officials say 95 people are deceased, with more than 160 missing in that county alone. 5 campers and 1 counselor are still missing from a girls' camp washed away along the Guadalupe River. President Trump seems to be on board with the reported investigation into James Comey and John Brennan. Fox News reporting the former FBI director and CIA director are reportedly under a Department of Justice investigation, I should say. It reportedly involves potential wrongdoing related to the investigation into claims of Russian interference in the 2016 election. Trump called the two dishonest, and he said, whatever happens, happens.
I mean, this is something that is clearly served up for the boss. Right. I mean, this is not, there's no one else in government who's going, we ought to pursue this. I mean, I get it that they talk that talk, but the reality is this is for the boss. Trump wants to go after these people who he has a personal grudge with. And that's what the DOJ is increasingly going to be about. It's the personal grudges of the supreme leader.
The newest pope wants to host peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. Pope Leo met with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in Italy on Wednesday. Vatican said the Pope and the Ukrainian leader discussed the importance of dialogue as the preferred means of ending hostilities. Russia previously rejected the Pope's offer to host negotiations. So Ukraine is on board, Russia, not so much.
Yeah, it seems like these negotiations are pretty one-sided.
You know, as happens, right? You can't just say we'd like to host Putin at the Vatican. He doesn't have any love for the Vatican, does he? I don't know.
No, of course not. And I think the intentions are good. As you know, what's happening in Ukraine is that after an interruption of the flow of arms to Ukraine, there is now a restart on that. Although Hegseth shut it down, and I mentioned this in the first hour, but it will be reinitiated, and that's underway now, supposedly.
There's some scuttlebutt about California Governor Gavin Newsom. He's on a 2-day tour of South Carolina, and he was speaking to state Democrats there, and he's apparently painting himself as the anti-Trump. He has repeatedly been asked about his political plans and has downplayed a potential run for the White House. South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn may have let the cat out of the bag, though. Apparently, he introduced Newsom yesterday, saying he was welcoming candidates who are running for president. Is he running for president or not? We don't know.
Well, and Jim Clyburn is the guy who served up so much of the support that made Biden the prohibitive nominee on the Democratic side. That's really why Clyburn continues to, I think in a way reflect presidential aspirations, because he's the guy who really cinched it for Joe Biden. When they rolled through South Carolina and he got all that Clyburn support and the support of South Carolina, it was pretty much game over for everybody else.
The Trump administration's spending cuts by DOJ are facing some uncertainty in the Senate. Yesterday, Senate Appropriations Chair Susan Collins said she doesn't know if the package that passed the House can also clear the Senate. The package would formalize $9.4 billion in spending cuts, funding to the USAID and Corporation for Public Broadcasting are included in this package, and the Senate has until July 18th to pass that bill. U.S. authorities say the month-long illegal immigration crackdown will continue in Los Angeles. The recommitment coming after Monday's massive show of force by federal agents near MacArthur Park. Agents went through the park on foot and on horseback and left without apparently detaining anyone. LA Mayor Karen Bass says she believes the whole point of the action was intimidation and instilling fear.
She's right. I mean, there's no question about that. I'm not a huge Karen Bass fan, but I think on this one, she's 100% right. The idea, it was theater. It was just show. And it works. I mean, it does and has reduced flow of everybody to the downtown area in Los Angeles. Their business is closing. The fashion district is a ghost town. And there are restaurants that have a history of over 100 years operating in Los Angeles, one of which is closing on August 3rd, this famous place called Kohl's. So I'm just saying that the nature of downtown Los Angeles is changing. And by the way, it's not like it was some paradise to begin with. I mean, downtown LA has been an issue with homelessness, with drug abuse. I mean, a lot of the same issues that have affected San Francisco, for example. But there were some inroads being made, some policy changes that were being put into effect. And now, of course, everything's on its side. I mean, you could really just gut a city's downtown based on a federal presence that's there to do nothing more than scare people. And that's really what's happening. Economically, the repercussions are serious. And the cultural repercussions are serious. I mean, these people are a part of the culture. There are people selling fruit, and there are people making everything from ethnic foods to mainstream foods that are being. I mean, it's not all tacos and carne asada stuff, right? It's hot dogs, it's pretzels, it's stuff that's being sold downtown, and there's a vibrant community there. And again, I'm not trying to paint some idyllic picture of downtown Los Angeles at all. I mean, it is a serious, dangerous place after dark in some areas, and that's affected businesses too. So let's be fair about it. But the idea that you can bring the feds in like this and just intimidate the hell out of that community, it's scary, and it has had the desired effect. It's a community that doesn't want to leave the house.
Well, it seems that some communities are fighting back. Numerous Southern California cities are taking the Trump administration to court over the federal immigration efforts in that region. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass announcing yesterday that the city has filed a motion to join a federal lawsuit to challenge what she called unlawful immigration raids taking place in Los Angeles. Additionally, Los Angeles, LA County, and several other cities like Pasadena, Santa Monica, and West Hollywood are trying to join a lawsuit against the Trump administration brought by the ACLU and immigration rights groups as well. The move by Bass comes after she confronted those federal agents that swarmed MacArthur Park. So at least something is being done.
Yeah, I mean, this is the hope that the courts will rescue us type thing. So
in San Francisco, it's a vibe shift. The mayor of San Francisco says the city has undergone a vibe shift during his short time in office. Mayor Daniel Lurie saying residents see that the city is headed in the right direction and they're just more positive about San Francisco's future. He's been mayor, by the way, for 6 months. He says he and the Board of Supervisors will be working together to deal with the challenges San Francisco faces. But he's already made millions of dollars of cuts to help bridge a massive budget gap. He says those were painful, but will ultimately put San Francisco in a better place to thrive. It's all about the vibe shift, you know?
I mean, announcing the vibe shift is very Trumpian. It's the new
Right?
America where we just kind of announce things are better already. Things are better already since I've gotten here. I'm getting letters. I'm getting so many posts. People are saying so many wonderful things. The vibe is so much better.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah. So.
If you want it to be that way, all you have to do is say it. NVIDIA is becoming the first $4 trillion company ever. The AI chip makers market value has smashed the previous record valuation set by Apple. The surge in value comes as tech giants race to build massive data centers using NVIDIA chips to power their services. NVIDIA is still hot.
It's smashed. Is that what you said? It's smashed.
Smashed Apple's record. Yeah.
Wow.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
Thank you.
The
It was
first
a little
$4
on the
trillion
nose,
company, NVIDIA.
but- Wow.
We might need Albert for this one. The automated ball strike challenge system will be used in the upcoming MLB All-Star game.
I love this story. God damn it, Albert. Finally, my emails have been answered.
This comes after a successful trial runs during spring training. The system will use T-Mobile's 5G network to track every pitcher's location relative to the strike zone. The ABS, the automated ball strike challenge system, may be implemented full-time as soon as next season. Discuss.
I'm excited about this, Albert. It has always been, to me, absurd that you have these awful calls in baseball, balls and strikes, when you have the technology to avoid that awfulness. Do you agree, sir?
Sadly, I don't. I like the
What?
I think it's a great way to get people to watch the All-Star game, because I know I feel like baseball has the most pure All-Star game, but they somehow always find a way to mess it up. But I think it'll get more people to watch. I'm not for it because I love the imperfect human aspect. I love the managers getting tossed. It's just part of it, you know.
Oh, this is just, I mean, this is incredible to me. This is unbelievable to me. So you'd rather have an unjust system where people are getting called out on strikes for a ball that is, you know, a foot out of the strike zone. You'd rather have that just because you like to see the manager come on and have an argument about it. I mean, it's just
Listen to me. I don't want to hear you.
I know. I can't believe this, Albert. You've
That's
lost your way
baseball.
now.
It's been like that for over 100 years. I feel like that's just part of the game.
No, exactly. I mean,
You just don't get it, do you?
You really don't. You don't get it, Albert. I'm sure there were slave owners who said, "What are you talking about? It's been this way for 100 years." Yeah, now we've evolved past it. Okay, we've evolved past it. So I'm an abolitionist. That's what I am. All right.
How about we
anyway.
just get rid of the bad umpires, like the Angel Hernandez of the world?
I love that plan.
Why don't we just make the umpires get better and have this whole imperfect? I mean, there's on Twitter, I see it all the time. There's these people who have report cards, and you can look up umpires' report cards.
Oh, you can go on Twitter right now. We'd show it to you, but we'll get demonetized because baseball is just brutal. But I'm glad they're finally doing something. I think it drives me crazy when you have bad calls, you know. So I'm loving this.
This is no picnic, no summer camp.
Exactly. It's not a show alone, Albert. It is it's about justice, sir. It's about justice.
I mean, I love another subtle change is the pitch clock, and it's dramatically improved games. I go to a game at Oracle Park at 6:30. I'm out of there by 9.
So you see, Albert, that is, you could have said, well, it's been this way for 100 years. I don't want a pitch clock. You know, you see how, Albert, would you like to apologize for your position?
Would you like to apologize for what you've done?
Don't do it.
No, absolutely not. No, I want my managers, I want my players to crash out on the field. I want them to lose their minds. I want classic moments of people throwing the bats onto the field, removing the bases, kicking the dirt. I love that. That's baseball to me.
No.
And we didn't mention it, but my Giants did win last night off of a walk-off inside the park home run, which
wow, that is pretty cool.
Very cool. It felt like Little League baseball last night.
Wow. So can you narrate what happened with it inside the park home run? What happened? Because it's quite extraordinary to be able to round the bases.
Yeah, so just leading up to it, in classic Giants fashion, we can't score runs when people are on base, and we somehow were down. We were down 3-1 in the 9th inning. We had 2 people on base, and one of our worst hitters, a very good fielder, our catcher Patrick Bailey, hit a ball that would have been a home run in every other park except for ours. Went off the top of the right field wall, and it bounced, and he rounded all the bases. And I'm sure if you could look it up, all the calls are great. The Korean call is great. The Giants radio broadcast and the TV broadcast are both great calls. And
now, if we play the Korean call, will we still be demonetized?
They are still under MLB.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Too bad. Sorry about that.
Very fun. Go Giants. Sorry for my Dodger fans in the chat in the chat and who are here. But they're skidding, and we're coming on the back up. So
interesting. Interesting. Love it. Love it. Well, that's a great finish anyway to that Giants game. So good stuff.
All right. Sports talk now leads to a new UCLA study finding the world's heat waves are getting longer and more intense. The study published Monday in the Journal of Nature Geoscience saying that climate change is causing heat waves to become hotter and longer too. It also says the length of heat waves will continue to increase as the planet warms up. Scientists relied on an equation that incorporates variables into climate models, which account for the way one day's temperature influences the next day's temperature. And they found heat waves are accelerating on a global level. To entertainment, because I know you're waiting for this, Mark, but HBO Max is officially back. Does anyone care? I don't know,
Yeah,
but
it seems
users
like,
will
right.
they'll start seeing the name change from Max to HBO Max throughout the day. They're phasing it in. Whatever.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Superman is predicted to soar at the box office. We get the new Superman coming out. The James Gunn directed film is hoping to collect $120 to $130 million domestically in its debut weekend. It is expected, though, to make about $100 million internationally as well. So far, the reviews have been positive with this film. That's got an 85% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So we'll see how it goes, and we'll see what our Michael Snyder thinks of it.
Yeah, the Culture Blaster will begin on Friday. What's interesting to me is that there is a controversy around the Superman film related to it being an immigrant story. James Gunn, who is the director, has talked about the fact that, well, Superman is really an immigrant story. He's from another place. He comes here and he fights for truth, justice, the American way, etc. I mean, that is...
is he an illegal alien?
Well, I don't think there's any formal paperwork on him, I don't know, but I do think that the idea somehow that Superman could be controversial because Superman is associated with sort of the most Americana brands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, because Gunn says, well, just as a note, he is an immigrant story. He came from another place. All of a sudden, it's got a radioactivity around it,
Come on, really?
Yeah.
That's where we're going with Superman?
Yeah, I mean, it's become a thing. You can find the James Gunn stuff, Albert. I mean, it's around, these interviews on the red carpet, these interviews elsewhere where he has sort of made this point and how it's become, again, something that should be the least controversial thing from the standpoint of its Americanism, right? It's the most American thing. He fights for truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah.
And yet now it's become the center of controversy. So
Are they going to have a photo op where Ice Barbie puts the handcuffs on Superman at the premiere?
I love that. Here it is. Look at this. You and more 1500 says they should have included a scene where ICE agents tried confronting Superman. That would have been great.
I'm sure ChatGPT could stir up some images, some of these AI images.
Oh, that's true. You're right. It's probably easy.
You can achieve your dreams, Kim.
The point of Superman is being woke, says de Hagville. Yeah.
This report is sponsored by CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. We got the new mushroom coffee, the Lion's Mane blend that Mark is drinking. So what do you think? You feel any effects of this? Are you feeling healthier and I don't know,
not quite yet.
More mentally clear? Because it's called the Clarity Blend.
I do love it though. I just love the taste.
Oh,
I really love the taste. I really can't. That's the Clarity Blend. It's called Lion's Mane Coffee. The tasting notes, there you see them, baker's chocolates and caramel with nuances of fruit and floral with lion's mane. I really love it, and I recommend it. And again, get your 10% off. This is a 2-pound bag that I have here.
Yeah, that's the price for the 2-pound. That 2-pound bag is huge, though.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's really great. So anyway, recommend it. And think you'll love it. But if that's not, the thing I'm on is I was given a couple of pills by the housekeeper.
Have those kicked in yet?
Yeah, those haven't really. Maybe they have. I don't know. It's yeah. In other words, I have such questionable coherence most days that perhaps it's kicked in and I don't really, recognize it. This is my great fear. That I lose my mental acuity completely and I'm not aware of it. You know what I mean? That's what dementia does, right?
Right.
So,
well, the lion's mane is supposed to increase your mental clarity and focus. It's known to promote cognitive function and clear thinking. So you're already you're on your way.
I love it. Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Okay, I'm into it.
There you go.
Yeah, there
Also-
are mushrooms in the coffee. That's what Vicky and Sausalito's asking. Yeah, that should be right.
There's never
And
been
also,
anything like this.
It says under the blend that you're drinking, the mushroom blend, the lion's mane, grounded calm. You totally need that. Smooth coffee with it looks like ease for us, with a focus with ease. Calming coffee.
I love it.
I
Well,
like
I'm
that.
hopeful that this is the beginning of calming for me.
Please
You know.
make sure to use the code if you do find anything on the Coachella
Why are you
Valley
yelling?
Coffee.com website that you like. It's Mark T, no spaces, gets you 10% off, and enjoy your Coachella Valley coffee or tea. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is The Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
It's unbelievably offensive.
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Hey Mark, it's George Santos here. A lot of people are telling me you're a liar.
That's pure speculation. There's always been in this country 30 to 35% idiots.
Morning.
Where are my weed smokers at?
Your Honor, I'd like to ask for a recess.
Can you let him finish, sir?
You cannot say you love your country.
That was very inappropriate. Don't talk to me that way.
What do you think I'm going to say to you?
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Saudi Arabia pays cash.
So good to be with you all. Thank you, those who hang out here every day. We're a live show, 2 to 4 on the East Coast, 11 to 1 on the West Coast. And it is a great pleasure to welcome people in from all around the country and all around the world. We've done a bunch of stuff today. I think touched on the entire Epstein thing. We've touched on the jihad that the new American government is on, it would seem, to right their perceived wrongs. It's a grudge. It's I would say, a grudge-informed Department of Justice. That is to say, the president's grudges will definitely dictate where a lot of these investigations and ultimately even where many of these indictments may end up. I mean, they can begin this process of what are political prosecutions, and they feel, at least this is the argument, as though they were victims of political prosecutions under the Biden administration. Trump feels that he was the victim of a Justice Department run amok. So you may look at Donald Trump, or we may look at Donald Trump, and we see thousands of documents jacked from the government that end up at Mar-a-Lago and Bedminster, I should say, and in his bedroom and his ballroom and his bathroom, in completely unsecured environments, in the bedroom closet, etc., strewn about. We may look at a lot of what he does and did as true crimes that need to be prosecuted, aiding and abetting the coup, the planning with fake electors to actually scheme to overturn the results of an election. You may look at all of that and say, yeah, what are you talking about? These are legitimate things with proof that is indisputable. This isn't a political prosecution of Trump and his functionaries. We've seen the January 6 people. We've seen what they did. We saw the destruction. We saw the chaos that they wrought. How can that not be viewed as legitimately prosecutable? Well, we've seen what happened. Donald Trump comes to power. Pam Bondi is his head justice person. Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, etc. He populates his administration with those who have ultimate fealty to Donald Trump, and part of that fealty involves pursuing the grudges of the king.
Yep.
And the king has a grudge against the last administration for prosecuting those things to which I've referred, among others, right? And so now he's going after Comey, he's going after Brennan, and that won't stop. These are also distractions from things that are happening in the administration that don't wash down so well, like the fact that they're not all about the Epstein file revelations that they were before they got into office. But the other thing that is not going down so well is tariffs. And I'll just spend a moment on tariffs because tariffs are back. And there was a 90-day pause on tariffs, supposedly. Again, I view this policy on the part of Trump as somewhat haphazard. You know, he proclaims it, he announces it. He likes announcing things. He likes the theater of being president. He likes making these huge, sweeping pronouncements in the Rose Garden, or what used to be the Rose Garden. So when we get to tariffs, he made the announcement and he backtracked, took a lot of heat for that. And the tariffs are coming back. I'll get to some of the specifics, but Albert, could you play me? I think there is a question that he fielded yesterday at the White House about tariffs and about their return. And here's the kind of word salad that he put together. To me, it shows how he hasn't really quite worked it out on his head, even what it's going to be. Go ahead, Albert.
Mr. President, on tariffs, what happened to 90 trade deals in 90 days?
What's happened to the trade deals?
Oh, we've spoken to everybody. We know everything. It's all done. I told you, we'll make some deals, but for the most part, we're going to send a letter. We're going to say, welcome to the United States. If you'd like to participate in the greatest, most successful country ever. I mean, we're doing better than ever. We have, I don't think, and you're going to see these numbers soon. We've never had numbers like this. We've never had investment like this. We have more than 90. We're going to have much more than 90, but most of those are going to be sent a letter. This is exactly what I said. Now, we've made a deal with United Kingdom. We've made a deal with China. We've made a deal. We're close to making a deal with India. Others we met with, and we don't think we're going to be able to make a deal. So we just send them a letter. If you want to play ball, you have to. This is what you have to pay. So as far as I'm concerned, we're done. We're sending out letters to various countries, telling them how much tariffs they have to pay. Some will maybe adjust a little bit, depending if they have a cause. We're not going to be unfair about it. And actually, it's a small fraction compared to what we should be getting. We could be asking for much more, but for the sake of relationships that we've had with a lot of really good countries, we're doing the way I do it. But we could be getting a lot more. We could ask for a lot more than what we're asking for.
It looks like you're done because you're sending the letters to follow up on Ed had asked earlier. You're counting these as deals by saying, here's the tariff rate we're going to.
I'm saying, here it is. Congratulations. Welcome to the United States. I hope you make a lot of money and you're going to pay us money.
So that's a bit of it up. Again, had to turn.
What was he even saying there? Does anyone know what he said?
Yeah, so he really doesn't have it all worked out, but everyone sort of nods adoringly at him. And he has sent letters, supposedly, to the leaders of 7 more countries.
That's nice.
This just happened today. So it's a growing list of U.S. trading partners that he's threatened with new tariff rates. You just heard it there. Philippines, Sri Lanka, Moldova, Brunei, Algeria, Libya, and Iraq. Rates going as high as 30% on goods that they ship to the United States. The new tariffs go into effect August 1st, again, pending negotiations. So basically, he's sending the letter of threat to these countries to sit down, make a deal with us, or suffer the consequences. He plans to announce, apparently, a tariff level for Brazil within the next day or two. He says, quote, Brazil, as an example, has been not good to us, not good at all. We're going to be releasing a Brazil number, I think, later on this afternoon or tomorrow morning. The rates Trump would be imposing on goods from Sri Lanka, Moldova, Iraq, and Libya were lower than those that he announced in early April. Rates on goods from the Philippines and Brunei were actually higher compared to the announcement in April. and the rate on goods from Algeria was about the same, 30%. I mean, that's still a lot. Collectively, the U.S. imported $29 billion worth of goods from those 7 nations, just the ones that I mentioned last year, $29 billion. And that accounts for less than 1% of the $3.2 trillion. In other words, it's this isn't you can make this pronouncement. It's not nothing, but it's close to nothing in terms of its effect on trade. The Trump budget chief, Russell Vogt, he's the guy who is the author primarily of Project 2025. He proclaimed that there were no downsides to the big, beautiful bill.
Oh, it's all great.
He made an appearance on Fox News Channel. Quote, "It's a home run. There's like no downside to this bill. This is not one where you have to say pros and cons. It's all good." He's the director of the Office of Management and Budget. And as we told you before he even took office, this is one of those government offices that doesn't get a lot of attention, but that's actually critical. All the government spending goes through OMB, right? So he is a key figure, not only in the strategy, because he wrote Project 2025, essentially. He was one of the key authors and key movers. And he is one of the guys who helped push this mega bill over the finish line. And now he's one of the key figures in getting the deficit hawks, the hard right that didn't want to vote for this bill because they were worried about the deficit ballooning. He's one of those who is charged with getting them to swallow hard and deal with it. Get out on the parade, man. Come in for the big win. Many of the taxes that were temporary, of course, continue. Significant cuts to Medicaid, food assistance programs, and other welfare programs. And again, Russell Vogt feels that this is all going to be, on balance, good for the U.S. economy. The things that they are doing, the spending that they are doing, will add to the national debt by $6 trillion. Some estimates say it could be $10 trillion over 10 years. And so the Republicans find themselves in this odd place where they pledged allegiance to this leader, and the leader is driving them with his functionaries right off the cliff. I'd say the tariffs are a Trump creation. I'd say the dismantling of government and the funding of the military, the funding of DHS, the dismantling of Medicaid, and getting rid of all of those programs slowly, those are constructs of Russell Vogt and the Project 2025 people. So again, may not be important, but when you're looking at Trump and you're looking at those who are sort of in the clown car with him, Russell Vogt is driving the politics and the agenda of the clown car, where Trump, I think, is just jerking on the wheel the way he normally does with tariffs, for example, with the immigration talk. So these have all come together, I get it, in one way, but the reality is there are several things going on within this administration. The other thing, of course, that's being driven, but this isn't a fiscal thing, it's a justice thing, is the total population of the Justice Department with his loyalists. And so that's how he can go after a Comey and a Brennan. And that's something that, again, he is an author particularly of that strategy, of that agenda. Although he has those in Patel and Bondi and Bongino who are very much in his thrall, and they're all too happy to pursue that with zeal. The IRS is saying churches can endorse political candidates without losing tax-exempt status.
Did Vogt write that too? Because it seems very Votian.
It's very Christian right.
Yep.
The IRS in a new federal court filing saying that churches can endorse political candidates to their congregations without risking the loss of their tax-exempt status. This upends a 70-year interpretation of the U.S. tax code. The Johnson Amendment has barred certain nonprofit groups, including churches, from endorsing political candidates without putting their tax-exempt status in jeopardy. But now, this new Federal court filing from the IRS says, get after it, go for it. Communications from a house of worship to its congregation in connection with religious services through its usual channels of communication on matters of faith do not run afoul of the Johnson Amendment as properly interpreted. This is the IRS statement. They go on to say, when a house of worship in good faith speaks to its congregation through its customary channels of communication on matters of faith in connection with religious services concerning electoral politics viewed through the lens of religious faith, it neither, quote, participates nor, quote, intervenes in a, quote, political campaign within the ordinary meaning of those words. This is, again, all in the filing.
Randy asks, doesn't Congress have to approve any of this IRS stuff? I thought the Republicans were against government agencies setting policy.
Right. It's a bit of hypocrisy, of course. This was a filing that was part of a joint motion by the IRS and the National Religious Broadcasters and 2 Texas churches. But they wanted to settle this lawsuit, and so this was a legal motion that was settled. The NRB and the churches, National Religious Broadcaster, and the churches, those Texas churches, sued the IRS last year. They said that the Johnson Amendment violated their First Amendment rights to freedom of speech and expression of religion, as well as other constitutional violations. The judge has not yet ruled on the motion for consent judgment that would permanently enjoin the IRS from enforcing the Johnson Amendment. So this is the first sign of this. But the IRS saying that, these churches essentially deliver votes for one candidate or another that doesn't threaten their tax-exempt status, that's a sign of the times, right? I mean, look, there are many in America who feel as though the God business, there's no business like the God business. There's no business like the faith business. And let me say something to be fair. A lot of people find a lot of comfort in God and faith. There can be a lot of good done in the name of God and faith. Mm-hmm. There can also be done any amount of horror in service of God and faith. So we kind of understand those extremes, but the idea that they have no tax responsibility, that you can build these fortunes, and by the way, again, not all churches and synagogues have fortunes, but the idea somehow that these mega churches and these massive organizations that are associated with faith and God and the divine, that they pay no taxes, I think that's just an affront to everything that makes sense in this country. That's one of the reasons that Scientology is a church. They built the construct around Scientology such that they brilliantly made it a church, made it a religious organization. And in the 80s, I think it was the early 80s, when they were doing the back and forth with the IRS, there was, you should read about it. I mean, the Going Clear book is a real good one. Read about the way that the Church of Scientology essentially intimidated on a personal level a lot of the IRS investigators who were involved in the ultimate decision-making on whether or not Scientology would be granted church status. And as religious status is granted, of course, there is tax-exempt status as well. So anyway, my point is, in the, I single out Scientology because they're a recent example, but all of these different religions, whatever God it might be, whatever religion it may be, they all enjoy the same tax-exempt status. And so now, in addition to that, they are allowed to put forward a political agenda. So you see how the two things washing together sort of begin to reflect the way things are washing together when it comes to faith and God and government. Always a distinct wall between those two things, right? Church and state. But we've seen in the last few years the way there have been challenges to that separation. And increasingly, with this new administration being informed so much by the religious right, you see a real effort to have now within government, integrated within schools, integrated within government programs that are, again, funded by taxpayer money, non-sectarian taxpayer money. You see how there are efforts to integrate religion. And so this is a real change in America. So the IRS decision, this federal court filing that the IRS has responded to, I think that's in keeping with all of that. So
before we end the show, I don't know if you mentioned the whole federal takeover of Washington, D.C. and maybe New York City as well.
This is an offhanded thing that Trump said. Do we have that? You have the quote in the video? I don't know where. Let me just, I'll find it.
And it's another one of these things where you think it's so outlandish and ridiculous that you just ignore it because he's just being silly, right? And then he turns around and somehow manages to get his fingers around some control of these cities that he has no business controlling. This is the fear that I have. He says he's weighing a federal takeover of Washington, D.C. because the crime in the nation's capital is so rampant. And he says also that after a reporter asked him whether he should get involved in the New York City mayoral race and who to support, he said he's not getting involved, but he says that Zohran Mamdani is a disaster and that he may take over New York City too if things go that way.
And he talks about it. I know he says it would be easy to do. I remember right in his remarks, he said,
he said we have tremendous power at the White House to run places when we have to.
Yeah.
That we're testing a plan to take over Washington. I mean, what?
Yeah. It's kind of what we were talking about when we talked about the presence of federal troops in Los Angeles and the declaration of an insurrection. The idea somehow you can declare an emergency, and in so doing, you can weaponize or enable federal troops and the military to go into an American city. This was a road test for the ways in which this administration may actually incorporate a presence in American cities. I thought it was honestly going to be in conjunction with an election. To secure the election, we're going to put federal troops there. We're going to bring in National Guard troops. This is a way to suppress the vote, of course. So that still might happen. But to have Trump muse about the fact that he would take over New York City and take over Washington, D.C., again, you never know how much of this falls into the category the rantings of a mad king and how much of this actually falls into the category of something that we should take seriously. But I think the problem is that his rantings and his impulses, they're taken seriously by others within his administration. No one pushes back on him. You see the way in which they're actually working within the intelligence community to kind of roll back some of the things that they've discovered when it comes to the Iran nuclear program, when it comes to any number of things that are related to Trump agenda items. And so we got back to Washington, D.C. and New York going, he's not going to take over Washington, D.C. and New York. All he has to do is say he wants to do it. And his people, Justice Department, et cetera, they'll jump to it. Look, he had no power to bring in the National Guard.
Or the United States Marines.
No power to do it. It's still illegal. And he got away with it. Again, it's been enabled by his people. He does it. And this is something we've talked about a lot. He'll make a move. This administration will make a move. You can contest it legally, but you may not be able to get a legal judgment on it for months. In the meantime, there are federal troops in your city or whatever it might be. It might be an illegal detention, like that guy, Abrego Garcia. They admitted it was a mistake. They sent him to Venezuela. They sent him to El Salvador with those Venezuelans. They admitted. We got the wrong guy. He's not coming back. We're trying to get him back. Gosh, we can't get him back. We can't find him. It's not really our call to get him back. And finally, they brought him back when months had passed. The guy was tortured. Did you read about what happened with him when he was down in that place? They tortured the hell out of those people. So again, justice delayed is justice denied. You may count on the courts to roll this back, but courts may not show up for a few months. And this just in, this court, the Supreme Court, is not likely to roll a lot of stuff back. Look what they've just enabled Trump to do, to discharge all these federal workers. There are going to be tons of firings within the federal government. Now, you may watch this right now or listen to this right now and feel like that's a good thing, but beware of the recklessness with which everything is being done in Washington, especially when it comes to dismantling the federal government. You saw what happened with DOJ. It's a mess, and the government is a mess now in ways it wasn't before. The Social Security Administration wasn't a mess. People don't miss their checks. They arrive like clockwork. And the amount of fraud associated with these agencies to which they've, waste, fraud, and abuse, they pointed to these agencies as sort of these bastions of all that stuff. It's not true. USAID, not true that it was filled with all this abuse and fraud. Not true that the Social Security Administration is filled with all this abuse and fraud. Anyway, the Supreme Court has given the green light. I don't know that you'd end up with them giving the green light to a takeover of Washington or New York, but there would be a reason, a concocted reason, the same way there was a concocted reason for Los Angeles. I think that is what I take from the LA experience. I take that they'll concoct a reason. The city's falling apart. We're here to liberate you from the socialist mayor. And now you have federal troops and you have the National Guard in Los Angeles. For what reason? A concocted one. So I think you're right to point that out. It's crazy. It sort of feels like, again, one of those things he offhandedly says, we could do it if we wanted to. I could do it. It'd be very easy to do.
Well, I mean, just go through the list of outlandish, ridiculous things that you think will never happen. Taking over Greenland, making Canada the 51st state, reopening Alcatraz and the San Francisco Bay, taking over Washington, D.C. and New York City. All of these things, you think that could never happen, right? But then he warns, I look back at the run up to the election where he was asked if it's ever warranted to use the United States military against its citizens. And he said, absolutely, right? Believe him when he says it, because now the United States Marines are in Los Angeles. So we're back to this. What do you believe as far as as you say, the rantings of a madman? And is it dangerous for us not to just now start believing everything he says, because he's done some pretty crazy stuff?
Yeah. I mean, and we're just getting started is the reality. I mean, this is the power of the unitary executive, and he is a great communicator in a weird way, not in the great communicator way that you'd have a Ronald Reagan, let's say, or even Obama, who was well-spoken and can kind of get a thought across, but he is able to marshal some kind of graciousness or over the top. To me, it's clunky, to me, you can kind of see it. It's like watching a magician do sleight of hand without any sleight of hand. But somehow the press seems so challenged because he does just say things and make them up as he goes along. Mm-hmm. And the press can only knock down so much. And of course, most of the press isn't even allowed. I mean, the real adversarial type relationship that the press is used to having with the president isn't really reflected in the kind of access that he gives the press now. Yeah. When you see limited access, it's mostly Fox News Channel and News Nation, I guess. I don't know if they're right wing or where they are. I think they kind of lean right. And the access given by, we'll call them friendly members of the press, is far greater than those given by adversarial members of the press. I mean, responsible members of the press. So if you're counting on the press, I guess what I'm saying, to reveal the truths, it may be a long day coming, a long time in coming. We have to wrap up, guys. I'm sorry. The Supreme Court gives Trump immunity. It is just pathetic. We have to eat this crap, says Mindy. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it is pathetic, and I'm not I'm not happy about it. In fact, it's a challenge every day to know, where to focus our attention. I bought a Pearl Jam jersey, Luis says, at the 2003 Riot Act tour for $40. It's now worth $200.
What?
Will my Mark's merch have the same collectability and value appreciation? Yeah, will it go up in value? The Mark merch. This is a very good question. I'm concentrating on how great it looks and how that's a great shirt.
Yeah.
Right? But the question is for Luis, yes, but does it have collectability value? I don't know.
KGO and Exile shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
they're
KGO and Exile
collector's
shirts
items.
are discontinued, and if you have them, they are collector's items. That's exactly right. So, well, you're right. Thank you, John Watson, saying, ask Mr. Predicto. Will the merch items have a collectability value? Mr. Predicto, will our merch, the new getmarkmerch.com items, will they have predictability value?
Yes.
Oh, right. Come on,
nice.
Mr. Predicto.
It's not fake.
Well, Luis, that's
real.
all you need to know, my friend. Jim Eaton, love peace with John Rothmann. Yeah, peace with John Rothmann in the land. The Mark Thompson Show knitted cardigan may be something we're getting for Albert. Wouldn't you like to come down the stairs at Christmas time, humming a Christmas carol, Albert, clad in the knitted cardigan from the Mark Thompson Show website? Wouldn't that be great? Come on.
I mean, I love a knitted cardigan. I love that.
That could be a great gift that Kim could get for you. You know what I mean? It would be
really nice.
Be quite lovely. Yeah. Kim, think about that for Albert.
I think I see Albert more in the vest than the cardigan.
He's more of a vest guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go golfing in that vest. That looks like you could.
Oh, yeah. That's a great golfing
well,
vest. The Mark Thompson Show vest. There on a holiday weekend, Albert, you and your degenerate buddies out there on the golf course, you're wearing you're clad in that beautiful vest as the sun breaks through the clouds, and you rep our wonderful merch. I love that. I think Kim is right about that.
Yeah.
The vest is
I'm
all
superstitious
you
too, so if I play well in that vest, I will wear that vest into the ground. So.
Absolutely. I get that. All right, so I want to quickly get to comments. Trump logic, says Luis, climate-related disasters increasing is the best time to eliminate NOAA, FEMA, etc.
Well, sure.
What a cost saver, so some other sucker can pay the bill. Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's crazy. There are going to be more of these climate disasters. We're entering hurricane season, and, you're getting rid of FEMA and NOAA? Okay. Vivian Alshawa, thank you for a $10 super sticker. Love you, Vivian.
Big shout out.
Yeah. I always have wondered, since Vivian Alshawa, she's an OG of the show, I wonder if her friends call her Viv.
Or like, Vivi?
Vivi or Viv. Anyway, we call her by the name that, is repped here.
Her given
Vivian
name,
Alshawa. Vilma says, can you imagine the massive changes that will have to be made in government when the next Democratic administration is ever elected? Yeah, thank you for the super chat. I have a very grim view of the future in terms of the Democrats actually getting into power, but I might be proved wrong. We'll see. I hope I am proved wrong.
I sure hope so.
Yeah. But the greatest threat to the Dodgers winning back-to-back championships is Trump deporting our foreign-born players. Wow. That's from Luis. Yeah.
And that could possibly be the entire league.
Yeah,
I'm
that's true.
sure
It's
if you
not
tune
just-
into the All-Star
sure.
game, which will have the automated umpires, a lot of those players are mostly not from here. So
Yeah.
keep ice away from that stadium.
Rhonda Abrams says, oh my God, is Rothman finally acknowledging truth? Dang, my dad said that with tears in his throat. Rhonda, we have a gulag, Nazi stuff going on in L.A. My Colonel Air Force dad, choking back tears, said that. Wow. Wow. That's intense, isn't it? When you hear from those who have given of themselves for public service and fought for the country, really. Candace Mick says, I agree with Albert on the question of Automated umpires. I never want to see a comment like that again, Albert. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Day, sir.
Yeah, I do not want...
Sayonara, sucker.
Yes, Candace, who is a distinguished Hall of Famer in Mark Thompson show lore because she was a winner of Mark's Madness. She agrees with Albert. It's kind of troubling. Anyway, I thought we had a lot in the show today, and we have more in the show tomorrow, especially given the fact that there was that Supreme Court decision which enables Donald Trump and this administration to dismantle government and essentially unfettered in their ability to fire people. We will talk with David Katz about that tomorrow. I mentioned it in the context of tomorrow for that reason. Chaplain Fred says, hi, Mark, Kim, and Albert. Maybe have a singing Christmas card from Kim.
What?
It would be nice, Mark. Yeah. Why don't we? Well, Julia would be the Christmas card.
Yeah, we'll make her sing it.
Yeah, so.
That kid's got a voice on her.
She is amazing. The After Party Live goes on at the After Party Live channel until tomorrow.
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
We are out of time. Thank you all. Thanks to Rothmann.
Time.
Thanks to Albert. Thanks to Kim. Thanks to you. You. Till tomorrow. Bye-bye.